choose well, your result is also going to be very well. If you desire correctly, your outcome also will be perfectly correct. So that's the sum and bonum of the entire understanding of the discussion between the bull and the cow, which represents religiosity and Mother Earth. So this is what we understood. And generally, if you look at in our life, you see people will often blame others for everything, right? They'll blame their elders, they'll blame their near and dear, and finally they also blame their guru, they blame their creator Lord. For all good or bad, whichever is unfavorable, whichever is favorable, that's what happens. So now we saw how Parikshit Maharaj is trying to establish religiosity, right? And we completed the last chapter. So now we're going to begin the 18th chapter. So Canto 1 has 19 chapters in total. So once we finish this pastime of Parikshit Maharaj, then we will just go into deep dive into the life of Sukadeva Goswami. So that's actually very nectarian, the life of Sukadeva Goswami. Once we review that, then we come to end of Canto 1. At the end of Canto 1, we'll do some assignments, so which will refresh ourselves right from chapter 1 to 19th chapter. These assignments, you can do it offline and you can keep submitting them. So that way, you're well versed, well prepared and things like that. So I need at least a week's time to prepare all the assignments. So maybe after Gaur Purnima, I'll start preparing the assignments and I will send it across all of you. You can practice them.
Prabhu, one doubt. I mean, is it right? My understanding, text 41, they say, no, Prabhu, the last paragraph, the leaders of human society must be tested crucially by their character and qualification.
Okay, so here it says the four leaders of human society, namely sannyasis, the brahmanas, the king, the public leader, must be tested crucially by their character and qualification. Before one can be accepted as spiritual master of the society, he must be tested by above mentioned criteria of character. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Is there something like this? American leaders, when they check their background list and all, if they have anything, a black mark, they cannot contest Atharayratala. To little bit they follow that.
Yeah, they follow that, but that's on the platform of material credentialities.
But not spiritual either.
So material credentialities include things like, okay, is he convicted of any crime or law that is punishable offense? Or is he doing an activity that is illegal? So they would look at angles of cleanliness in their hands, and they'll also look at their patriotic behavior, right? How much of anti-national things like that they've done. Is he really American patriotic? Something like that. So that's how they look at, right? There is no activity on God consciousness. What does God conscious means? God conscious means today in the society, each one of us think that we are independent. Okay. Second, we think we are in control of our own life. Right? These two are actually very strong contenders for someone to remain in the material world. And third, no respect to the Shastras. So whatever he thinks, he will do. Right? So when there is no respect to Shastras, the Shastras never reveal the truth. What's the truth? That you are not this body or a soul. Okay, that itself is the biggest truth. When you understand that you're a simple, small, insignificant life force, but you're just encapsulated in this body, then your entire outlook changes. So there's no knowledge on that platform also. So actually, in one of the interviews that Prabhupada had with the American scientist and things like that, so they asked, what is the purpose of establishing a religious movement like ISKCON? So Prabhupada said, there are many universities in America, world-class universities. They teach all kinds of subjects, right? All kinds of material subjects. So those deal with what? The five gross elements of the creation. But none of them deal with the soul, which is the life force behind the gross elements. And Prabhupada said, your universities teach only about the five gross elements, the modern Sankhya philosophy. But I don't teach about that. My purpose is to give you knowledge about the self, which is the soul, and the duties of the soul, and what is its relationship with the Creator. That's what Prabhupada said. So Prabhupada movement is all about knowledge of the soul and its activities, and what it's supposed to do. Right? So you see, there's a big difference between spiritual and material. Now, these American leaders, or in fact any country for that matter, they focus on the material aspects of it. Be truthful. Are you patriotic? Are you capable? Are you skilled? Are you well versed with political science? These are all just like a administrative aspect of the country. They don't add any value in one's real life. Go back to the situation when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura talked about Bhagavad Gita and its importance. Prabhupada's first reaction was, no, we should get independence first, then we can do all these things. But what is the answer? Answer is whether you get independence or not, the suffering will continue. Under a British rule or non-British rule, suffering will continue. People will never realize the goal of life before and after. So we don't care about all these things. Whether we get independence, whether we are in slavery, whether people know. No, our duty is to give the knowledge of the soul and its relationship to the Creator. And that was very striking to Srila Prabhupada. Then he took up very seriously. Right? So, irrespective of any material conditions, the life of spirituality persists and continues. This is important. Hmm?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. So let's begin with this new chapter. So here the chapter is entitled Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmana Boy. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohi Abhadrani Vidhanoti Sugratsatam Yate Cham Sakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayante Yuge Yuge. Okay. See, the chapter which in Madhya Lila, the chapter which describes the conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai is so important for practicing devotees. Devotees must read that chapter and again, especially the personal conversation between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Now, why it is important? Let's understand very clearly. See, today, even among devotee communities, we keep getting confused about many factors and thinking that is devotion. Okay. Now, in that conversation between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, Mahaprabhu keeps asking the question, what is considered to be the topmost as an activity for a human being? So the first point he talks about is Varnashrama system, right? He says Varnashrama system. That means 4 Varna and 4 Ashrama. Mahaprabhu's answer straight away was, even though he said, yeah, it's an important aspect, but it is external, I'm not interested. What did he say? He said it's external and I'm not interested. So until Ramananda revealed the true essence, that is worship of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, hearing the pastimes and activities of Radha and Krishna, Mahaprabhu never came to saying that there is satisfaction, and that is internal. So, in our life, we have to understand which is internal, which is external. Okay. So, how do you conclude that? Anything external means that aids in the aspect of internal. What is internal means? It's directly connecting to the consciousness and its linkage to the Supreme Creator. That is internal. So, the movement that Prabhupada created is completely about internal. He says use the external to aid. For example, the first external to aid is our subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. Now, currently it's unfavorable. That's why we have a lot of material activities. Make it favorable. Submit it to Krishna, not submit to, redirect it to Krishna. Then you see it's internal. Right? So now, the body is external. This human body or any body we have is external. Because we use this body for gratification of senses, do activities that are meaningless, do activity which are illusionary in nature. Oh, my country is my life, my family is my life, my society is my life. Like engaging this body in those activities. Or, doing an activity that will please the body. See, now I'm feeling very comfortable. I'm feeling very happy. These are all externals. But however, the same body is need to be used to increase the qualification of our internal purification of the consciousness. Please remember, every one of us are in this material world because the consciousness link to the supreme consciousness, that is Krishna, is lost or it's got cut. We are working hard, making many such programs, activities, sadhana, whatever it may be, in order to re-establish that link. So the consciousness is the missing link. And that is the only internal aspect. If we understand this one principle very strongly, then you see everything that happens is all external and that they don't mean anything to us. Prabhupada said, this dictaphone, which he used to speak and to record the lectures, is external and it is material in nature because it does not have anything connected to Krishna consciousness. But now I am taking the dictaphone and speaking Krishna Katha in it. So even though it's external, but it's used in service of the Lord. So you see, externals are used to enable purification of the internal consciousness. That's the point you have to understand. So you go to the temple. If you eat prasadam in the consciousness of prasadam, then you don't see any other detailing in the prasadam. You eat because it's mercy of the Lord. It is internal purification. But if you eat the same prasadam by choice, oh, I like manchuri, oh, I like biscuits, I don't like these, or overeating that same prasad for gratification, you see it becomes external. It is very important to mature in devotional service. And that maturity is what will take us to the next level. This is how realized devotees distinguish from ordinary devotees. So I want you to think when you read Srimad Bhagavatam. When you hear a lecture from Srila Prabhupada, think through. What is he saying? The sloka in second chapter. Najayate mriyate va kadachan. Jatasya dhruva mrityu dhruva janma mrityasya cha. See, Prabhupada is saying a devotee who's born, a living entity who's born, is marching towards his death. And a person who's died is marching towards his rebirth. Now, why is the Lord making someone to be born again and again and again? And in every birth, the Lord is giving newer and newer opportunities to realize the soul's relation to the super soul. In every birth, the Lord is trying to do this. And we are so strong that we resist this realization time immemorial, births after births after births after births. We're resisting it. We say, don't want. And that's why we continue to remain here. Right? So you see, the body, this anga, is made up of working senses, knowledge acquiring senses. Now, but what are these senses for? These senses are used to re-establish that link that the consciousness lost to the Lord. So, this material body is also a vehicle, which is external, a vehicle to help the internal success. That is the key. If we understand this much, then you see any external disturbance will not bother us at all. Very important to know this. If you cross this stage of level of understanding, then you will see Bhagavatam will become very simple to conclude. Bhagavatam is nothing but an expansion of the sloka Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tattvataha Praktadeham Punarjanma Naiti Mamiti Savachana. How do you understand the appearance, the disappearance, the activities of the Lord and Lord's associates? Because just if you understand, Krishna says, no more birth and death for you. Just expansion of this one sloka is Srimad Bhagavatam. Completely 18 volumes written. So very important to understand this. If you understand the purpose behind, the key concept behind, we'll all become scholarly wonderful, devotionally wonderful. That is my important message for all of you. Okay? I hope you're able to get what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. If any of you didn't understand, please send a message or you can call me. I can help you understand. So while in this process, why Mahaprabhu says, if you take Sikshashtakam, see, very beautifully constructed. I mean, it's unimaginable that someone can construct Sikshashtakam and give the entire message, nectarian message, in just 8 verses. Sikshashtakam starts from Karma Yoga and Sambandha and ends with the highest realm of Prayojana. That's beauty of Sikshashtakam. So why Mahaprabhu is telling? Develop these qualities of humility. You have been rebellious all this time. What is rebellious? Fight for everything. Oh, you said that, he said that. Fight. Who are you to say? See, you're all continuously using your false ego, your subtle body's behavior at every time. But that's not devotion. If a practicing devotee, he will demonstrate this Trinada Pisunichana fantastically. Huh? Very, very important. So, your mirror is the reflection of you, which will tell you, hey, I know I'm right, but still I've been told wrong. Can you accept it? You are not able to accept it because of lack of devotion. The devotion is artificial. You have to be very, very careful, understanding self introspection. Look at your progress. Now, in the last Sunday, we took deity workshop seminar. Right? We had many people attending, 40, 50 people attending. I don't know how many of you are going to practice because I don't know what you are going to do internally. I can only teach you externally what all to practice. And if you ask me how much I am practicing, maybe I'm practicing about 80% of it. I still have a scope for another 20% of improvement. So why I'm not doing the 20%? I'm in the process. Maybe another 2 months, 3 months, I'll accomplish that. At least from a step-by-step point of view. But in the class, I saw many comments, many people saying, oh, Prabhu, this is too much. Oh, Prabhu, it's difficult. Oh, I can't. No, when you come to devotion service, don't come with the consciousness of I cannot. You have to give your level best. And that is practice of devotion. A fifth standard boy can speak English to a particular level, but a 12th standard boy can speak English to a higher level. But both of them will speak English to the best possible ability of theirs. And that is the same way you have to practice in devotion. We took the example of Ananta Sesha speaking the glories of the Lord continuously, non-stop and non-repeating. Is Ananta Sesha saying that I'm tired, how much to speak? Is Ananta Sesha saying that, oh, I've already spoken enough about you, Lord? Is he saying that? No. So devotion service means no satiation. No satiation means what? Extreme satisfaction. There's no question of, okay, I'm done, that's it, I'm done. No. The taste of Amrut, you know how wonderful it is? The first drop you taste is very nectarian, but the second drop you taste is more nectarian than the first drop. And the 100th drop you taste is much more nectarian than the 99 drops you took. That is called Amrit. And anything connected to Krishna is Amrit. It is never ending. So that is the consciousness you should develop. And Bhagavata gives enough pastimes, enough slokas. So please think through those. I am only aiding you. I am not going to come to your house to sit you what you're doing. I'm only aiding you. Choice is yours. Okay? Okay, now we'll start with chapter 18. So in chapter 18, we'll conclude the pastime. So how the pastime goes now. So Parikshit Maharaj gave the place for Kali to reside somewhere because Kali is surrendered to him. In his kingdom, everyone needs to be given equal protection. That is the role of a king. So he gave protection to Kali. And he said, where you can live? You can live in places of irreligiosity. But what is the issue? There is no irreligious place in the rule in the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj. People were not doing any of those things. So Kali said, hey, come on. You're giving me saying that, okay, I'll give you a place to live, but there's no house, nothing. It's all just open, barren land. How can I live there? You have to give me somewhere. So Kali was also very intelligent. It was tricking Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj said, okay, you can live in gold. So gold doesn't represent the metal as such. Gold represents the quality of enviness, the quality of lust, the quality of anger, the quality of all those things. These are called subtle qualities. So Kali said, happily I live there. Now, two things let's understand. During the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, which we read in the previous chapter, even Brahmastra, which is considered the topmost of all the astras, could not kill Parikshit Maharaj because Krishna protected him. So that is the glory of the child. And he is Dharma personified. He is phenomenal. So Kali could not expand its strength anywhere in the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj. Now, Kali was born even in Dwapara Yuga itself, but it could not manifest any further because of presence of the Lord. Now, after Lord left, when Kali is trying to expand its strength, it is not because the great king like Parikshit is sitting there. So this is the glory of a God-conscious king. A king who rules by the protocol implemented by the Lord. So that is the situation. Now then what happened? Kali need to establish in Kali Yuga. And Parikshit Maharaj is a stumbling block. On the other hand, the Lord wanted Parikshit Maharaj to come back home, back to Godhead. So an arrangement is done as a pastime. What is that pastime? Parikshit Maharaj goes for hunting, and then he runs into the forest of the hermit Shamyak Rishi. There he loses his control and he makes an event to happen. The cursing happened by the son of Shamyak Rishi, Shringi, and the message is delivered to Parikshit Maharaj. Now, when the message was delivered to Parikshit Maharaj, Prabhupada writes something very, very brilliant. He says, Parikshit Maharaj himself had the ability to counteract a curse. That means he would have done something where he would have not died. Okay, so that's the first thing. He had the ability to counteract. But Parikshit Maharaj demonstrated humility. What is demonstrated humility? Is to accept the will of the Lord as ultimate, not negotiate that, not counteract, not dodge that. So Parikshit Maharaj did that. The consciousness of Parikshit Maharaj had 2 points. One, when the Lord was able to protect me from the greatest Brahmastra, why did the Lord not protect me from this snake which is going to bite me and kill me? That means this is the plan of the Lord. He saw the hands of the Lord in all these actions. So Parikshit Maharaj surrendered. Surrendered to the what? Surrendered to the will of the Lord. When Bali Maharaj surrendered to the will of the Lord, he became glorious. He went back home, back to God. Parikshit Maharaj also surrendered to the will of the Lord. He became glorious, went back home to God. So the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam is to surrender to the will of the Lord, to accept any event as the hands of the Lord presented. That is the most important aspect of our consciousness. That's what you will read in this chapter. Now, what is the will of the Lord? Will of the Lord is not about just delivering Parikshit, but will of the Lord is to give this great epic called Srimad Bhagavatam for us. Even though Vedavyasa wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, it did not reach every living entity. But when Sukadeva Goswami spoke about it, it is now, you see, it's reaching every living entity. And people are understanding the value of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is the most important thing the Lord wants to deliver. And hence this pastime was in him. So see this as a pastime of the Lord and don't see as a defect of this person or that person or this or that. Pastime of the Lord in order to achieve a higher purpose in this realm of human life. And hence you will conclude why Srimad Bhagavatam manifested. Right? So in this journey, you will see wonderful qualities of a devotee like Parikshit, how he developed taste and how he got delivered. Then you will see wonderful qualities of Sukadeva Goswami. Then you will see wonderful qualities of the people assembled there. Then you will see the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. All these things are going to be manifested in this chapter 18 and chapter 19. Okay, so now you see the first slokas up to 1 to 11 is all about, hey, why this sort of consciousness for Parikshit? Okay, so we'll start reading. Sutta Vacha Yo vai drauniyastra viplusto namatur udare mritaha anugrahat bhagavataha krishnasyad bhuta karmanaha. Sri Sutta Vacha said, due to the mercy of personal Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, though struck by the weapons of the son of Drona, that is the Brahmastra, in his mother's womb, could not be burnt. The sages of Naimisharana are asking, after hearing the wonderful administration of Parikshit Maharaj, especially in reference to his punishing the personality of Kali and making him completely unable to do any harm within the kingdom, he almost dismantled Kali's ability. Sutta Goswami was equally anxious to describe Parikshit Maharaj's wonderful birth and death. And the verse stated by Sutta Goswami to increase the interest of the sages of Naimisharanya. Okay? So that is the real essence of this chapter. Okay, now let's read further. Okay. Brahma kopitad yastu shakat prana viplavat na sammumoho rubarya bhagavati arpitasayah. Translation. Furthermore, Parikshit Maharaj was always consciously surrendered to the Supreme Personal Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by the fear due to the snake bird, which was to bite him because of fury of a Brahmana boy. Right? So this snake bird called Takshaka is a flying snake bird. And the poison it generates is so intense that once it, throws the poison out of the venom out of its glands, the venominous is so high that it doesn't come as poison, it comes as fire. That is the speciality of this Takshaka. Still, Parikshit Maharaj was not afraid. This purport is very brilliant. Okay? Can someone read this purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tendrot Pranam. A self-surrendered devotee of the Lord is called Narayana Parayana. Such a person is never afraid of any place or person, not even of death. For him, nothing is as important as Supreme Lord, and thus he gives equal importance to heaven and hell. He knows well that both heaven and hell are creations of the Lord, and similarly, life and death are different conditions of existence created by the Lord. But in all conditions and in all circumstances, remembrance of Narayana is essential. The Narayana Parayana practices this constantly. Maharaj Parikshit was such a pure devotee. He was wrongfully cursed by an inexperienced son of Brahmana, who was under the influence of Kali. And Maharaja Parikshit took this to be sent by Narayana. He knew that Narayana, Lord Krishna, had saved him when he was burned in the womb of his mother. And if he were to be killed by the snake bite, it would also take place by the will of the Lord. The devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by the God is a blessing for devotee, a blessing for the devotee. Therefore, Maharaja Parikshit was never afraid of, nor bewildered by such things. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Hare.
Okay, so there are two themes out of this purports. What are the two themes? First is Narayana Parayana. What is Narayana Parayana? Who's always in all circumstances practices devotion, remembers the Lord, hears about the Lord, sings about the Lord. Who's called Narayana Parayana. For him, if Krishna puts him as a king, like Yudhishthir, he is happy. If Krishna makes the same Yudhishthir to go to forest and suffer and death and life situation, he's never complaining, he's happy. If Krishna puts him into a poverty situation, he is happy. So for a person who is Narayana Parayana, whether it is hell or heaven, he is not bothered. Why? Parikshit Maharaj gives this example. When I was supposed to be saved from the womb, it is will of the Lord. Now again I'm going to die. It's will of the Lord. These people like Stringi, Shamika Rishi, Gauramukha, who all these people are intermediate actors. They are just like postmen. Postman, what does he do? He delivers the letter to us, but he doesn't write the letter to us, right? There's someone else who's writing the letter. So these are all actors. They have come in their life in order to perform a particular role. If we understand this, then we will see hands of the Lord in every aspect of our life. When we see hands of the Lord in every aspect of our life, we develop that love, we develop our gratitude. We thank Him for everything. Right? Now, there is one sloka in Bhagavad Gita, right? You all know, right? Matra Sparsha Astra Kaunta. So we'll read the two slokas. I'm just opening it. Let me share the screen. Let's see what's happening. Why we can practice or we cannot practice this. Okay. So, Bhagavad Gita 2.14. Now, in this sloka, what happened? Oh, this became transcript now. Okay. In this sloka, you see, here, now you see in these two slokas, that is 14 and 15, very beautifully Prabhupada explains. First, Prabhupada says, a man has to tolerate. Okay. Now you see, he says, non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. He says non-permanent. What does non-permanent means? Which is temporary. So happiness and distress are very temporary. They keep coming, going and again. Now we lose our tolerance because they keep changing. Okay. So now, when do we tolerate? When do you think we can tolerate? If your bodily concept of life, if you think that we are tolerating by our own ability and practice certain yoga, certain food, certain exercise, if you practice with them, you see, you're only defending them, but you're not realizing the truth behind it. Okay? So that is the first aspect of it. Now let's apply the consciousness that Parikshit had. Whether I get wealth and become a king or I lose wealth and become a beggar, it is a plan of my Lord. I'll accept both of them. Then you see, tolerance as an aspect will manifest so strongly in our heart. So devotion means to keep thinking every action behind in my life is action of the Lord, is the plan of the Lord. That's my point here. Now let's look at this next sloka you see here. Oh, best among Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, is steady at all times in both, is certainly eligible for devotion or liberation. So that means once we cross this realm to understand that whatever happens is plan of the Lord, I will accept it and go forward in my life. Then the Lord says, okay, you're a recipient for liberation. This is the point here. So just by I'm tolerating, so I'll get for liberation is a wrong concept to understand. That is external. The internal is to understand that every action And every reaction, there is the hands of the Lord behind. And he's doing it for a purpose. And I'm talking this for pure devotees. For materialistic people, the Lord does not act directly. He acts indirectly through Prakriti. And Prakriti acts indirectly through the three gunas. And the three gunas acts on the personality. Still Lord is acting, but it is indirectly in this manner. Okay? Is this point very clear? How Prabhupada is positioning the consciousness of Parikshit?
Yes, Prabhu.
And this is sign of pure devotion. Okay? Now, 18.3. Utsrijya sarvata sangam vignata jita samsitihi vaiyasake jahau shishyo gangayam sankalevaram. Furthermore, after leaving all his associates, the king surrendered himself as a disciple to the son of Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami. And thus he was able to understand the actual position of personality of Godhead. And at last gave up his material body on the bank of Ganges. So what is this? Now, Lord is giving intelligence. Why Lord is giving intelligence? In the sloka of Bhagavad Gita, we said that one who develops these qualities to understand there is hands behind every action that has happened in my life, every event that has happened in my life, there's hands of the Lord. So the devotee is able to tolerate. He is demonstrating those internal qualities. He is demonstrating compassion. He is demonstrating all these beautiful qualities Lord is talking about. Then what Lord says, oh, you're ready for liberation. The Lord said, you're ready for liberation. Then what is the sign of the readiness for liberation? This is the sign. In this arena of Parikshit Maharaj went and asked questions to all the ministers that he had in his kingdom. What did he ask the question? Hey, what's my duty? As a king, I am born as a human being, then I lived as a king. What should be the duty while I'm alive? And what should be my duty while I'm going to die? Because he knows now, 7 days message is delivered to him. He's going to die. So what's my duty? So none of the sages in his kingdom were that much scholarly and realized they could answer. Okay? Go back to the scenario to Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva had a lot of enthusiasm that he took the instructions of his mother that go to Vishnu and ask him for help. He will show you the right path. And you surrender to Vishnu is the most important. And he took that very seriously. Even though it was just 5 years, he went to the forest and he started to practice asanas to get the mercy of the Lord. Now, when the Lord saw Dhruva's enthusiasm, what Lord said, oh, such a small boy demonstrating so much of enthusiasm and practice of bhakti. Then what Lord did? Inspired in the heart of Narada, Naradaji comes there. And what does Naradaji do? Naradaji establishes God consciousness in the heart of Dhruva. First, Naradaji is testing Dhruva Maharaj. Second step, what does he do? Okay, your enthusiasm and your determination is very strong. Okay, now I'll teach you how to accomplish your goals. So Naradaji taught him the methods and he also taught him the means how to achieve it. You see, Narada did not know that Dhruva was in the forest. The Lord knew because of the Paramatma feature. So Narada came. He did his job. He made him to practice pure devotion service and Naradaji disappeared. See the role of Guru here. Huh? The Guru is received by us by the arrangement of the Lord, not by our own will and endeavor. That is the goal. Okay, so here also, what happened? Sukadeva Goswami never associates with any grihastha. And Parikshit Maharaj is a grihastha, right? Because why? He's a king, he's a politician, he's a family man, he's a grihastha. And Sukadeva Goswami never associates. In fact, if you read, we read in the past chapters, the time of association of Sukadeva Goswami with the grihastha is only one muhurta. That means about 40 minutes. Why 40 minutes? That's the time used to, take the milk out of the cow and give it to Sukadeva Goswami and he'll disappear. Because he says, oh, very dangerous. I don't associate with Maya. Such a Sukadeva Goswami, inspired by the Lord, again he comes to this arena and he is coming to meet Parikshit. That means the arrangement of Sukadeva Goswami as a spiritual master and Parikshit Maharaj as a disciple is also done by the Lord. That is the point to understand here. So what happened? Because Parikshit developed all the qualities of humility, of surrender, to be a disciple, ready for disciple. Shishyaste ham sadhimam tvam prapannam. Krishna spoke the Gita to Arjuna. The same way Sukadeva Goswami now speaks Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So this is telling about our importance of we serving our Guru, we submitting ourselves to Guru and Guru's instruction at all points in time. Why? Because Guru is Shakshat Daritvena Shamasta Shastri. He is sent by the Lord Himself to accomplish what is there in our desire in our heart. Right? So that's this whole sloka talking about. Okay? So this sloka establishes the importance of Guru, and here the Guru is Sukadeva Goswami. Now, this Guru is phenomenal because from birth only Sukadeva Goswami was liberated. He is much more than anyone else. And he got the knowledge from the topmost personality in this creation. Okay? Okay, let's read the next sloka. 18.4. Notama sloka vartanam jushatam tat kartamritam katamritam syat sambramo antakalepi smaratam tat padambujam. This is so because those who have dedicated their lives to transcendental topics of personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconception even at the last moment of their lives. Very important purport, very beautiful purport. I want someone to read this. Can someone read? Louder.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. The highest perfection of life is attained by remembering the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. This perfection of life is made possible by one who has learned the actual transcendental nature of the Lord from the Vedic hymns sung by a liberated soul like Sukadeva Goswami or someone in that line of disciplic succession. There is no gain in hearing the Vedic hymns from some mental speculator when the same is heard from an
self-realized soul, left-hand side top.
From
here, left-hand side.
Self-realized soul and is properly understood by service and submission. Everything becomes transparently clear. Thus, a submissive disciple is able to live transcendentally and continue to the end of life. By the scientific adaptation, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life when the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily membranes. For a common man, it is very difficult to remember things as they are at the time of death. But by the grace of Lord and His bona fide devotees, the spiritual masters, one can get this opportunity without difficulty. And it was done in the case of Maharaj Parikshit.
Maharaj Parikshit.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So look at this. The highest perfection of life is to remember the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. So that means what? So, for example, a boy who's studying his 12th standard, right? His final exam outcome is the most important, valuable thing. All other exams, short test, quarterly, half yearly, your preparatory exams, they're all exams or intermittent points to check, can you pass the final goal of life, right? So if you do your internals, your quarterly exams or internal test, everything, then you can get good colors in your final exam. So similarly, death is our final exam. At the time of death, what is the state of consciousness that one possesses? What is he thinking? How is he remembering the Lord? How is he able to offer his prayers to the Lord? This is the key. And how one can do that? You cannot lead a materialistic life and then suddenly say, okay, now time, I'm going to die in another 3-4 days. So now I will read some Bhagavatam. I will talk about glories of the Lord. I'll chant Hare Krishna. Then I leave the body. It never happens. So one has to take up devotion service right from his young age and keep on practicing step by step, step by step, step by step. Our consciousness will change. And that is what is important, right? So the real test is our final exam, which is at the time of death. So now, how do we get to this practice? I don't know the subject well, so I need to go to a guru. I need to go to an institution to learn. So the guru is playing that important role, and the quality of guru also matters. A highly realized guru can make us to practice devotion service very quickly. A non-realized guru may delay our practice of devotion, but an improper guru will give us a wrong path in practice of devotion. So choosing the guru is very, very important. And that too, when we get an opportunity to connect with a pure devotee, it is the greatest blessing of the Lord. So Prabhupada made this one comment, and it is very important for all of us to realize. A person with envious mentality, remember this, a person with an envious mentality will be awarded with an envious guru. A person with cheating mentality will be awarded with a cheating guru. A person with a devotional mentality, a divine mentality, will be awarded with a pure guru. So choose the consciousness that you want to possess. And accordingly, that kind of guru is what you will get awarded in our life. So here, Parikshit Maharaj was such a pure devotee that the topmost person, Sukadeva Goswami, came here to deliver him. Right? Now, after speaking for 7 days and 7 nights, Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj became completely purified. Sukadeva Goswami's job is done. My job as a guru is done. Now, the last exam is between that living entity and that Supreme Lord Krishna. The guru left. So, he passed his final exam by taking all the preachings of what the guru said, and just remember the Lord left his body back home, back to Godhead. Right? That is the key here. Okay. Now let's read the next sloka. This is also very beautiful. Tavat kale na prabhavet pravishto apihas sarvataha yavadisho mahan urvyam abhimanyava ekarat. As long as great powerful son of Abhimanyu remains in the emperor of the world, there is no chance of personality Kali will flourish. Okay, so the son of Abhimanyu is Parikshit. Okay, can someone read?
Hare Krishna. As we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago, and he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. But he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. The disturbing elements, like the personality of Kali, will always try to extend the nefarious activities, nefarious activities, but it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali.
See, so this is the importance of an able administrator. So a country should have such a king, and it percolates. Every state should have just such a chief minister, and every city should have such a corporator and legislative members like that. And every institution should have leaders like this. And every houses, the head of the house should be like this. Then what happens? Even though it's Kali Yuga, which is present everywhere, they will protect the citizens from getting influence from Kali. When no one is getting influence from Kali, Kali will automatically get weakened. And that's the point here, right? So Kali cannot flourish during the reign of Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, 18.6. Yashmin ahani yarhi eva bhagavan utsar sajagam tadaivehanu vartosva adharma prabhavakalihi. The very day and the moment the personality of Goddess Sri Krishna left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kind of religiosity, came into this world. It's been waiting. The moment Lord left, it started to manifest. Someone read the yellow here.
Hare
Can someone
Krishna
read?
Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
The personality of Godhead and His holy name, qualities, etc., they're all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc., of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. Hare
From
Krishna.
this card. So now if we all practice very nicely at our homes, all the members in our homes will be protected. Our children, our grandchildren, brothers, sisters, all will be protected from influence of Kali. Now, if we all become preachers, give this message to the society and make every human being the society to practice, then the society will be free of Kali. So like that, we can keep on expanding this as a beautiful society of Vaikuntha. And that is the purpose of preaching. And hence preaching becomes an important activity. Okay, now let's go to the next sloka. Nanudvestik kalim samrat saranga iva sarabuk kushalani ashu siddhyanti netrani kritani yat. Maharaj Parikshit was a realist. Like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower, he knew perfectly well that in the age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately. That is your practice of devotion. So, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually prohibited. Actually, it's a mistake. Must be actually performed. No, it must be prohibited. So, he was never envious of the personality of Kali. Right? You can do whatever you want, but my citizens, no one will come in your web. Okay, can someone read the yellow and green?
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, read.
The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So, by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them.
Pause, Mataji. Okay, very important thing that you need to understand. So there we had 4 yugas, right? Satya, Treka, Dwapariha, and Kali Yuga. In Satya, Treta, and Dwapara Yuga, how one acquires karma is by thinking of evil thoughts. Okay, hey, I want to kill him. I want to cause pain to him. I want to use improper language and disturb his heart. So any of these things as a thought will result in acquiring karma in ages of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga. You see, can't even think bad. Now in Kali Yuga, a benediction is given. What is the benediction? If I think of doing harm to someone, there's no karma for it. I don't acquire karma. But I acquire karma only when I act on it. Right? That means I actually, let's say, for example, I want to hit someone. Right? I thought about it, so there's no karma. But when I hit him, I acquire karma. the karma of reaction of hitting him. Okay, so that is a specialty of age of Kali Yuga compared to the previous ages. There's that one benediction. But remember, what do the modes of nature do? Whatever we desire, it will make the arrangement such that you can perform that act. You got the point? Did you find the difference, what I said?
Yes, Prabhu.
Who can explain the difference?
Can you please repeat the last?
In Kali Yuga, if you think of a malice or a bad intention, there is no karma acquired. You're still free of karma. Only if you perform that act. The example I took was, I'll hit someone. I thought that I want to hit him. There's no karma. There's no reaction. But when I actually hit him, I acquire those reactions. This is Kali Yuga. But remember, we read in the previous slokas that the Lord is called Bhakta Vatsala. The Lord fulfills the desires of a devotee. If we think bad, that also Lord will fulfill. That means Prakriti will make all arrangements for us to hit that person. Whether we do it or not is secondary, but he'll make arrangements. Right? By practice of good Shastric knowledge, by practice of devotion, one will get control over his actions. Even though I thought through it, because I'm practicing devotion, even though the situation is favorable, because of my knowledge, I will not perform that act. And that is the glory of devotion. Okay? Is this point clear now?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll read the green now.
I'll continue, Prabhu.
Read.
One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus, Maharaja Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the
Left-hand side top.
Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas, also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantage of the age of Kali. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. Hare
See,
Krishna.
many advantages are there. In Kali Yuga, you can recite Srimad Bhagavatam, you can remember the pastimes of the Lord, you can chant the holy name of the Lord. Kali cannot enter at all. So what Parikshit Maharaj did, he took advantage of all these things and said, okay, even though you may exist, I will ensure that there is no influence of you on anyone. Right? So even though we are living in Kali Yuga, we can easily protect ourselves by taking shelter of the Lord. And that's the take-home message for each of us. Okay? Good?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you
Yes,
said
ma'am.
that just thinking of doing harm to a person, it doesn't cause any karma.
Reactions.
But in the Sevakala, I just heard the story of Qureshi. When the king orders them to remove his eyes, he gouges his eyes and gives. Then when Ramanujacharya asks him, he wanted to give, he says, no, because maybe I have thought the Nama Hakkarala Swami, maybe some errors are there. I was just thinking mentally that it is not proper. Because of that, I've lost my eyes. I'll remain blind, he says, I feel. How will you explain that, Prabhu?
So that is, he's showing that he's surrendering himself to the Lord. He's surrendering to the mistake that he's making. So whatever negative that has happened to him, he understood that he is the cause of that, rather than blaming it of anything else. So he's using that.
Okay, thank you.
It is he's showing his matured consciousness there. It is not the protocol of Kali that he's talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, but in Kali Yuga, now we are talking, if he is a non-devotee, if he thinks of anything causing bad to a person, definitely he will do it.
He will do it because Prakriti will make the arrangement for him to do.
Yes, but if he's a
But you
devotee,
practice devotion, Even though you're thinking something wrong, harmful to someone, because of your devotion, your Harinam will purify your thought and you will not act. That is the benefit of devotion.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, you got the difference? Uttara Mataji, you got the difference?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, someone had a
Hare
question.
Krishna, Prabhu. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Mataji. Ah.
Prabhu, you said someone do the means do the sadhana means Krishna conscious in one home, so all the members will be protected. So for example, one is doing the sadhana and another person is doing the sinful activities. Or even though he will be protected, means he or she will be protected, or what?
No, though it doesn't mean like that. What it means is very simple. This protection is a big subject. We will talk about it. We've spoken about that in many classes, but we'll talk about it at a later point in time. Okay. So now what's happening is you're creating an environment in your house where influence of Kali comes down. Okay. Tendencies to perform irreligious acts by the people in that sphere of influence is very, very less or close to zero. That's what it means. Okay. Now, on the contrary, now let's say you're not practicing devotion in your house, then influence of Kali is there on all the members to the highest level. That means they can go do anything they want, just like any other people who is living the society. Okay. So this is what you're trying to do. You are creating the mood of divinity in your house by practicing devotion, where influence of Kali comes down. That's what Parikshit also did. What he did, because my citizens are all very religious, they practice all these things. They don't go to any of these places of illicit sex or meat eating or intoxication or gambling or any of these things. Even though Kali is present, they are never affected by it because they don't practice.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's not stopping Kali from entering, but it is protecting the devotees, not getting influenced by Kali. And that's what you're also doing.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So protection of the Lord is a different subject matter. That we will see how devotees are protected, how non-devotees are protected, that we will see separately. Okay. The best, if you read the Samudra Manthan pastime, there were Asuras and there were Devas.
Yes.
Lord protected both. Okay. Lord protected both. That means whether someone is materialist or devotee, Lord still protects both of them. That's what you have to understand. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice explanation.
Welcome. Okay. So we'll do one last sloka for the day. Is it okay? Just one last sloka. Okay.
Prabhu, one thing, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
As in Kali Yuga, just thinking does not create any karma.
Yes.
But we also read that, but if we think about any pious deed, that will add to.
Okay, very good, correct. When you think pious, when you think devotional of anything, Krishna will amplify that, magnify that like anything, right? So, for example, you have a desire. Hey, I want to cook jamun for the Lord. If you have the desire, Krishna will fulfill it. If not today, tomorrow. That is going to happen. That is the glory of Kali Yuga also. Huh? Got it, Mataji?
So the pious thought itself will add to our
Act and magnify. Now, let's say you keep thinking, hey, I have not gone to Vrindavan for the last 10 years. I need to somehow go. If you genuinely think, immediately Krishna will make arrangements for you to go. That is the beauty. So, the glory of devotion is it magnifies good acts of personalities and diminishes bad acts of personalities. That is also the glory of practice of devotion. Okay?
Okay, Prabhu. Okay,
So,
Prabhu.
very good. Okay. Last sloka we'll read for the day and we'll end. Okay. Kim na baleshu surena kali nadira bhiruna apramatah pramatteshu yo vruko nishu vartate. Maharaj Parishit considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful. Please give the importance to the word. Less intelligent men think that Kali is very powerful. But those who are self-controlled would have feared nothing. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care of the foolish, careless persons also. Right? Now you see the purport. Someone read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, shall I read Prabhu?
Read. No.
Purport. Those who are not devotees of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaja Parikshit, that is, propagations of the devotional service of the Lord to the common man. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Okay. So carefulness comes with intelligence. Person becomes very careful, very detail oriented when his intelligence grows. These are two things that they go hand in hand. Okay. Now, how will intelligence come? Intelligence comes out of two factors. One, by taking shelter of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatham, that is reading them, practicing them. When you read and practice them, Lord unlocks the intelligence in your mind. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmayam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. He says, even though this knowledge of the spiritual subject is so sacred and topmost, but it's confidential. Why it's confidential? It can be unlocked only by mercy of me, only by mercy of devotion service. That is the point here. So that means a devotee who practices genuinely, the Lord unlocks intelligence in his heart. Thereby, he understands theoretical knowledge to self-realized knowledge. And that is a step Lord makes him to go. And once you become intelligent, you become very careful. Hey, I read the pastime of Gajendra Moksha. See, just by having a careless, callous attitude, I may get the body of an elephant, so I shall not be like that. See, this is intelligence. And where does intelligence come from? By taking shelter of the Lord, I did not fear anything, even though my own father came to kill me. That's what Prahlad Maharaj thought. Even though my father is so powerful, Hiranyakashipu, he may kill me, he may put into fire, he may throw me into the dungeons, but still I'm protected by the Lord. See, look at his intelligence. Why? Where is this knowledge coming from? It's coming from the Lord. So that is the point. So, intelligence is awarded by the Lord. When this intelligence is awarded by the Lord? When one practices devotion. And how much intelligence is awarded by the Lord? To the level of practice of devotion. If my practice of devotion is this much, intelligence also is this much. If my practice of devotion is this much, my intelligence also this much. So, Lord awards us intelligence. When we become intelligent, we become very careful. We know what to do, what not to do. How to do, how not to do. And that is the strength and perfection of our progression in our life. And this, when we continuously do it, we'll know exactly what to do in our later part of our life, how to remember the Lord, take mercy and shelter of the Lord, go back home. Right? So this is what is important too, and I'm concluding here. Okay? So thank you all so much for your wonderful association in the morning. It was really wonderful to have you all. Any questions, we can take it.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when I was a neophyte, I was chanting, and even some very bad things or sinful things used to come to my mind. But that I felt that I was doing some sins because I was not good in chanting. Is it then when I am thinking of certain bad things or sinful things, will it not add to our karma, Prabhu?
No, Prabhu, it doesn't. Because you are in the progression stage, right? In the starting stages of devotional practice, we are influenced too much by our impressions, material impressions in our heart. What is impression? So, you know, there's a seal, right? People use a seal, no? Stamp seal, signature seal. So, like that, you take an ink pad like this and hit the seal. Like that, lot of material activities that we have done, we've hit the seal so many times in our mind. Okay. So, what does devotion do? Devotion is erasing those impressions from your heart. So, it'll take its time. And when you start practicing chanting the holy name, step by step, you'll see those things go away. And during that time, you'll see your mind is vacillating. It'll just up and down, up and down, up and down. And you will conclude this, you'll conclude that, all these things will happen. So don't worry. Take shelter of a senior devotee. Whenever you have doubts, ask him. Keep on moving, that you'll see in a short period of time, you'll cross the bridge and you'll reach the other side of the spiritual.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare
It
Krishna.
it was really a wonderful session, Prabhu. Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can we take this as the thoughts will come and from the memories and go away from us, or it will just reflect and go, Prabhu? Just how do you understand that?
See, thought will reflect and go away. That's all. They won't
Okay.
persist in your heart.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Even if it persists, you will never give importance to it because the scholarly knowledge that you obtained will supersede it. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
There are three things I talked about: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay. There is another concept in it. My intelligence is subtler than, it is finer than the mind. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that using intelligence, I can control my mind. Okay.
Yes.
Mind itself is very subtle. See, you take your senses. For example, your senses like your tongue, your nose, ears, body, everything. They're all gross senses. See, they're so big. You can see them. But mind, we can't see. It's very subtle. But finer than the mind is intelligence. So that means even though mind acts, you can use the intelligence to control your mind. And who's giving that intelligence?
Paramatma.
Yeah, very important. That's what the point is.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for clarification. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Are we done? Any more questions?
Oh, no questions, Prabhu. I just wanted to thank you for giving the aids for our further progress in devotional service, Prabhu. And you assured also all of us with your wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, देव की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, वैष्णव ठाकुर श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम तत्सत। Okay,
Hare
thank
Krishna,
you. Have a
Dandavat
wonderful
Pranam.
day.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The Excel sheet is not posted in Jagannath Mercy group, Prabhu.
It is posted.
It is posted, Mataji. It is already seen.
Okay, I'll check it. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavata Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna, Prabhu. Gentle
Hare
request and reminder, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be
to
there.
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
here
Prabhu.
and there, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes like that, you please tolerate, but I'll be there. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm feeling very nervous, Prabhu. You must come and rescue me.
We'll do our best.
Yes, Prabhu. There is this flyover, Prabhu. You can cross over the
Yeah, I'm
Silkwood
going to use the
Junction
flyer
here
on.
also.
Otherwise, I can't reach your place on time.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Okay, I'll end the meeting here.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.